Welcome. Today I'm going to be breaking down a system to visualize and reach your goals. Now, I've been recently been getting into reading about visualization and learning about how you can use it to reach your goals, but I thought there was a lot of a lack of concrete steps to get there. So this is what this system is for, concrete steps that we can actually do to visualize and do that to aid us in reaching our goals. So, on the agenda in my system, we have number one, defining your dream life. Two, clarifying our actual goals. Three, building systems. And four, embodying the new us that can actually reach those goals. So, to start off, we are going to define our dream life. And I thought about this because when I started first thinking about my goals, they were just goals that I had heard about. For example, make $10,000 a month online, or run a marathon, or get in shape, or etc. But these are all goals that are provided to us from an exterior source and not stuff that we actually necessarily desire. So, to define our dream life, there are a few questions that I ran into that I asked myself that I actually thought were very helpful in defining this. So, if you had unlimited money, if you had $1 billion, what would you do every single day? Like, money's not an issue. Would you still want to start a business? Would you still go to work? What would you actually be doing? Also, if you couldn't fail, how big would you dream? Because I often found myself that I would like set these goals and set these dreams, but they always had a little step back from them because I was scared that I would fail. So if you actually couldn't fail, how big would you dream? Also, what does my ideal life look like in 1 year, or in 5 years, or in 3 years, or whatever time horizon works for you? And not only does what my ideal life look like, but what does my average day look like? What does my average Wednesday look like? What do I do when I wake up? Where do I wake up? How do I fail? How do I feel? Who do I wake up with? What am I doing? I think that's really important because it gives you like an overview of what your dream life actually looks like on an average day. It's not just like I'm buying my dream car, but it's I'm waking up and I'm doing this. And a really good way to like actually analyze these is to write them down. So I wrote them down in a notebook, and these are really interesting. Like, turn off the music, just concentrate on this and just answer the questions. And I found it to be extraordinarily helpful for step number two, which is actually defining my goals. So, now that we know our dream life, let's actually define what we want to aim to. So, we want to define the destination, which means that we want to turn our vague dreams or vague ideas into clear, measurable outcomes. And how do we do that? Well, we actually set deadlines. We attach a date to each goal because a dream without a deadline is just a wish and not a goal. For example, if I want to run a marathon, well, that's just a dream. But if I say, hey, I want to run a marathon on September 18th, 2025, well, then that actually becomes a goal because I have something that I can consistently and actually see the end point of. Finally, we want to break big goals into milestones because we want to divide our large, big, massive ambitions that we put into place because we know that we can't fail, and we want to actually put those into small, achievable checkpoints. And what I mean by that is like if you have this goal to build a $1 million company, well, I mean, that's nice and well to say that, but if you haven't even launched your company, if you don't have an LLC set up, if you don't have employees, if you haven't made your first 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, then setting at that $1 million goal is a pretty big step right out the gate. So we want to actually divide that into smaller achievable checkpoints that we can reach. For example, I'm going to move my head here, but let's say you want to get good at coding. You could say, I'm going to reach 500 commits on GitHub, which is the coding platform, by January 2026. Or I will invest I wanted to put 50,000, but $50,000 before June 2026. And by doing this, you're setting attainable goals and you actually have something to aim for that you can develop into systems, which is point number three. So I wrote these down. I wrote down my goals, and I realized that goals are simply the destination, and systems are the way to get there, the processes that get you from A to B. And I got really into this when I learned about system design and system thinking when I was taking classes in university. And I realized that almost everything around us is a system. Like our health is a system, what happens in our body is a system, but also how you reach your goals is a system. So what we want to do is we want to start by reverse engineering our actual goals. One of the easiest one is a marathon. Well, I want to break down that goal into actions that I can take. So I know that if I run a marathon, if I want to run 40 kilometers, then I'm going to have to increase the distance that I run by like 2 kilometers every single time I run. Now that's a vast estimation of what I would have to do, but you can do that for every single one of your goals. And what's a great way to help out with that is to use known resources, because you don't have to do everything yourself. For example, with that marathon example, well, I can follow a course or a map made online. There's a ton of them by people who have actually already done a marathon. Or you can listen to, if you want to start visualizing, then you can listen to videos like these where they actually give you a step-by-step plan to do it. So use other resources from people who have already done it. Now, once we've defined how we're going to get there, the exact system, we want to turn that into daily and weekly habits, because success is built in these small, repeatable actions that you take every single day. And that's why success always looks like an overnight success, because it looks like it just popped out of nowhere. But if you ask a bodybuilder, how did you get in shape? He doesn't say, oh, I don't know. He can tell you exactly the workouts he did, the exercises he did. And, if you want it, the more specific you get, as long as you follow it, the better it is. That bodybuilder at the top of his game, he'll be able to tell you the number of macros that he consumed, the amount of rest that he did in between sets, etc., because he's dialed down his goals into a system that is so precise that he knows exactly where he's going to get and the exact number of time. So finally, you've created your system. You have your goals. You know where you want to go. Now you have to embody the new person that is going to be able to get there. Because the person that you are currently isn't at the stage in your life that you're going to be able to reach those goals. What I mean is, you have to act as if you arrived. You have to be, and then you can do, and then you can have. Because if I just say like, hey, I'm going to start running, I'm going to go running, I'm going to run my marathon, well, I may be motivated today and tomorrow, but after tomorrow, I'm likely not going to be motivated anymore. But that doesn't matter, because in me, I have to assume the fact that I'm a runner. So that's what I do. You have to think, speak, and behave like the person who has already achieved those goals. I'm just starting out on YouTube. I'm just starting out posting content. I have to tell myself when I do this that I am a content creator. I'm not like let's say you're trying to stop smoking. You can't say, oh, I'm trying to stop smoking. You have to say, I'm not a smoker. So when I'm making this video, I have to imagine to myself, I am a content creator. This is what I do. And I'm going to have to visualize daily. I'm going to have to train my brain to believe that this situation is real, to believe that I am actually a content creator. Because mental rehearsal builds confidence and will sharpen my focus every single day. And that's why creating a plan and writing it down is such a good way to go at it, because I can literally read this every single day. Every day that I don't feel like I'm progressing, or I'm not motivating, or I'm not doing the correct actions, I can read this and I can see the exact systems that I need and that I know that I need to do to get from point A to B. You also want to track your progress. Now you can do that in Excel sheets. You can do it by just writing it down. There's a ton of different apps on your phone. You can put it in a journal, but you want to document your thoughts and you want to document your actions. If you're trying to work out, you want to document how many times you worked out. Because not only will that keep you motivated, but every single week, once a week, you can look at that, you can look at what your actual progress is, and you can look at what you have to do to improve. In doing so, you're going to be able to improve your systems. For example, if you want to wake up and run, maybe that first week, you just push through it and you run. But then you think about it on the next Sunday and you're like, hey, I have to improve my system. I have to lay out my clothes the night before. I have to prepare my water bottle the night before. That way, it's going to be extraordinarily easy for me, a lot easier this week than it was last week. And in doing that every single week, you improve your systems until every single action that you want to undertake becomes a habit. And when that becomes a habit, you will become the person that you need to be. You will become a runner. You will become a content creator. You will become a business owner. You will become a bodybuilder. By doing it, by thinking it, and by believing it, you will eventually become it. So that was a system to visualize and reach your goals. This is a new type of video that I am doing, and I quite like the idea of posting these videos as systems by solving my own problems. For example, this visualization video was just for one of my own well, not an issue, but one of the systems that I wanted to implement in my life. And one of my next videos is going to be a system to consistently acquire freelance clients. I'm going to have videos coming out on business and freelance acquisition and stuff like that. So thank you, Canva. Even it's telling us thanks for viewing, but I will see you in the next video for different systems like this, which will be coming out soon.